suction, a couple different types of suction units right here. What you see pictured on the left are battery-powered suction units, and what you see on the right is a manual-powered suction unit. Alrighty, it works. It works. I mean, when you're in the ditch with the airway. All right. What do you want to do with these devices? What's very important?
Check them before
Clean.
Yeah, check them before you start your shift. Before you roll out the station in the morning, you need to make sure that this thing works. Make sure it has charged batteries. Make sure that it turns on. Make sure it's put together right, okay? It's a vacuum apparatus, and if it's not all put together properly, you don't get a vacuum. All right. If you have one of those vacuum cleaners at home with a little canister, take the canister out, turn it on, and see how good it sucks up the stuff with the carpet. It doesn't because there's no vacuum. Same thing. It's got to be put together right with all the seals, you know, where it's supposed to be, or it doesn't work, or it doesn't work as well. Make sure it's put together right. Another thing you want to make sure is you actually have all the parts to it. Now make sure you have suction tubing. Make sure you have a tip. All right, because there's nothing worse in the world than when you really, really need this thing and you hit that switch and nothing happens. You know, or it turns on, it makes a high-pitched whistling noise because the canister is not put together right. You know, or you have no tubing, or somebody put the rigid tonsil tip all back on there. It's not good. All right, it can kill your patient. It takes 2 minutes, not even 2 minutes, but before you leave in the morning, make sure this joker right here works. Okay. That goes for your onboard suction as well. All right. Now, each ambulance is going to have a suction mounted in the ambulance that doesn't come out of the ambulance. And it's either electrical powered or it's powered by the vacuum of the engine. Now, I don't think that's so common anymore. Make sure it works. All that same stuff applies to that suction as well. Make sure it's put together right. Make sure you have the suction tube and make sure you have the tips. Make sure you have everything you need before you start. Because once you get on a call, you know, you can't go back for stuff. This device right here, we call it a VVAC suction unit. I think that's a trade name. I'm sure it has some kind of official name, but I don't know if anybody knows what it is. It's just a VVAC suction unit. Basically, how it works is stick that into the patient's mouth, squeeze it. All right, when you squeeze it, it creates a vacuum, which sucks all the stuff out. The stuff goes in the reservoir. That reservoir, all this part right here that you see, that's all removable, comes out, goes in the biohazard trash. Very important. If you learn nothing else from me tonight, learn what I'm about to tell you and never forget it, okay? When these things come out new from the box, on the end of the red cap, make sure the little red cap is removed before you stick it in the patient's mouth. Alrighty. We talked about the rigid catheters last time. Alright, they are limited only to the upper airway because you can only insert them as far as you can see. Alright, we put them in first, apply the suction, get around in there, get all that crap out, pull it out for no more than 15 seconds. You also, after you take it out of the patient's mouth, you want to stick it in a bottle of sterile water and suck up some sterile water through there at the same time. The reason for that is you want to keep it clean so that you don't sling vomit all over the ambulance. That's never a good thing. And also, as you keep suctioning, you get crud built up in the tubing, which will decrease the effectiveness of your suction unit, so keep it clean. All right. The only disadvantage to keeping it clean like that is if you're trying to keep an accurate measurement of how much you actually suctioned out. Okay? But if you're taking it from a bottle of sterile saline, you know, those only hold a certain amount, it's like 500 cc's. So you can figure out how much you've taken out of your bottle of saline, subtract that from whatever's in your suction unit, and that's how much you suction out of the patient. You know, it's just some of that algebra you'll never use. There's a whistle tip catheter. I'm going to try and find one. It's a very, very small, flexible suction catheter. Okay? I don't believe it is. We use this for suctioning trachs, and we do what's called deep suctioning with this device. We'll actually put it, you know, in the nose, and it'll go all the way down into the trachea. You know, to this point right here where the bronchioles bifurcate. What's that little point called? It's this point right here. Starts with a C. Carina. All right, so this soft suction catheter would go in the nose and down here to the carina, and then we'd apply suction and get all that crap out of the airway. Disadvantages: it does not remove large volumes. and it does not remove food particles. All right, it's very easily clogged up. It's very easy when you pull a thing out of the nose to sling some mucus everywhere. You gotta be very, very careful. Next. Suction is restricted to less than 15 seconds. Why? Right, when you're down there, you're also sucking out all the oxygen. Less in children, we'll talk about that with pigs. And we do not activate suction during insertion. You want to make sure that you're not going to suck out anything important. Alright, so put it in there first. Make sure you're not going to suck out anything important. And then apply your suction and get what you need and pull out. Alrighty, what are some of the hazards of suction? Cardiac dysrhythmias, believe it or not. There's a nerve that runs along the back of your throat called the vagus nerve. Alright? When you stimulate that vagus nerve by, having that suction tip on the back of it, it'll actually slow your heart rate down. It can also cause increased intracranial pressure and decreased cerebral blood flow. Alright, so if you have suspected head injury, use caution. Alright, I'm not saying that you should not clear your patient's airway, because you absolutely must clear the patient's airway, but you'll want to do it as quickly and the least traumatic way possible. Alright, that would be a situation where you want to actually pay attention to what you're doing and make purposeful movements, not just stick it in there and just, not good. Employ isolation precautions. What y'all reckon that means? Yeah, gloves. Let me help you out. If you're playing with suction, you need the goggles and the face mask. Oh yes, because it comes out and you don't want it in your mouth. It's just gross. Don't even go to. Masks are free. We have a whole box of them on the ambulance. You put one on. You'll appreciate it. All right. Ventilate prior to suction. Remember, once you put that suction cap in there, we're sucking out their oxygen. Let's give them some if we need to. Determine depth. All right, try to figure out how far down this is going. You can see what he's doing right here. Measuring from the mouth back there, because that's as far as he's going to be able to put it in, right? So if he can say, okay, from here to here, that's all far down I'm supposed to go. If you know that going into it, you're not going to actually shove it down in there too far. Does that make sense? Insert the catheter, turn the unit on, draw the catheter, flush the catheter. Don't forget to ventilate your patient. We'll talk about all this in a second. Hypo means what? Slow or less than, or too few of, right? And ventilation means ventilation. So, a lack of, not enough of,